In the previous lecture, I was talking about Aristotle's four causes. If you'll recall, we talked about if you want to understand something, you need to ask four questions. What is it made of? The answer to that will be called the material cause. What is it? The answer to that is the formal cause. How is it made or who made it? The answer to that is the efficient cause. And why was it made or what is its purpose? The answer to that is the final cause. So in discussing Aristotle's four causes, we made a distinction between, and here's what I want to highlight, material cause and formal cause. This is a very important distinction that arises in Aristotle. All matter, except prime matter, and I'll say more about this later, but otherwise all matter has a form, but matter can take on different forms. So for example, if you consider a particular material like wood, wood can take on the form of a tree or a canoe or a baseball bat or a long bow. So there are many different forms that the same matter can take on. All of these are made of the same material, the same matter, but they are different things because they have different forms. Now, the different forms that things can have can be classified in two different ways, and this is another classification that Aristotle makes. There are substantial forms and there are accidental forms. And what I'd like to do is highlight the distinction between substantial forms and accidental forms. Natural objects or substances, like trees or dogs or people or rocks, they have a substantial form. On the other hand, artifacts like machines, or like a bow and arrow or a baseball bat or a computer, these have an accidental form. So I want to now draw out this. I'm going to stop my webcam and make a little diagram to help clarify this. Okay, so I want to distinguish here between substantial forms and accidental forms. So I'll make a little table. So form. And the first of these is the substantial form. And the second is the accidental form. And when you have a substantial form that's related to the final cause, in that the final cause or the purpose, the end of this, is intrinsic, or you might say immanent, to the object. So for example, a yew tree, I'm just thinking of a kind of tree. A yew tree, the matter of a yew tree is wood, but it has a substantial form, and its purpose or its final cause is intrinsic to the yew tree. So for example, a yew tree, its purpose is to grow and to flourish, for example. On the other hand, if something has an accidental form, its final cause is extrinsic, or it is imposed from the outside. Okay, so for example, a longbow, a bow and arrow. Okay, this longbow, maybe it's made of the same material, it's made of the same wood as a yew tree, but it has an accidental form. That means this form is imposed from the outside. Its final cause, its purpose, is imposed from the outside. It's extrinsic. Someone took that piece of wood and curved it into a longbow so that they could use it in order to hunt, for example. All right, so let me make another table here to maybe help explain this further. So let's talk again about Aristotle's four causes. So I'm going to list them here. The material cause, the formal cause, the efficient cause, and the final cause. Okay? And let's suppose we have a yew tree. Okay? So what is the material cause of the yew tree? Well, wood, right? What is the formal cause? Well, the formal cause is it's in the form of a yew tree. That's what it is. Remember, formal cause, what is it? It's a yew tree. The wood takes the form of a yew tree. What is the efficient cause of a yew tree? Well, you might say another yew tree. Another yew tree produced seed that was buried. And that is who or what formed this yew tree. And the final cause of the yew tree, we might say, would be to grow, to flourish, to produce seeds. Okay, so that's kind of its destiny, what it's supposed to do. Okay, on the other hand, if you have a longbow, okay, what's the material cause of the longbow? Well, wood. Okay, what is the formal cause of this? Well, it's in the shape of a longbow. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it is. Okay. And what's the efficient cause? Well, some person, a yeoman, took a branch from a yew tree and, shaped it and strung it into a bow. Okay, that's the efficient cause. That's who made it or what made it. Okay, and the final cause of the longbow is to hunt, maybe to protect, maybe for enjoyment or for sport. That is the final cause. Okay, so in this case, the formal cause is here, it's a substantial form. And that's the distinction that I was making above. That's how Aristotle would describe it. It has a substantial form, whereas a longbow, he would say, has an accidental form. Because this one, it is intrinsic to the yew tree, and this one, it is extrinsic. Someone imposed this upon it. Okay? So that is the distinction between substantial form and accidental form. I want to say a few more things about Aristotle's four causes before I continue. And so I'll just kind of tick off a few things that come to mind. So first of all, any natural object or a true substance, as he would say, can only be one thing. What it is determined by its substantial form. So for example, a yew tree is not an oak tree. It is one thing, it is a yew tree. A dog is one thing, it has a substantial form of a dog. It cannot also be a cat. So any kind of natural object that has a substantial form is a single, it can only be one thing. Another thing I'd like to point out is that not all, you might get the impression that man-made things are all artifacts or machines. But the fact is, not all man-made things are artifacts or machines. So for example, you might think of like a dog breed, a particular dog breed like dachshunds, let's say. They are in a sense man-made in that they were created by selective breeding. But a dachshund, or any other breed for that matter, really is still a natural thing or a true substance. They were bred by selecting for and amplifying certain kinds of intrinsic tendencies that were already there in earlier breeds of dogs. Another example, maybe this is a simple example, is babies, right? So human babies are man-made in the sense that a mother and a father made them, but they are still natural objects with a substantial form. Okay? A third point I'd like to make is that natural objects, or true substances, have an inherent tendency to work together as a whole in order to achieve their purpose or their end or their final cause. This really is the mark or the signature of a natural object. So a yew tree that has a substantial form, its parts work together in a way to achieve what its purpose or end or goal is. This is kind of the signature of a natural object. A final point that I'd like to make is that natural objects can have essential features that are associated with what they are, and they can also have non-essential or accidental features that can be imposed upon them or can be removed from them without changing what they are. So for example, a yew tree with a substantial form has certain kind of characteristics that are essential to them, but they also could have non-essential or accidental features. So for example, if I painted a yew tree blue, right, it would still be a yew tree. The fact that I've painted it blue, I've kind of imposed an accidental form upon that yew tree, but that still is a yew tree. Maybe another example is, I could cut my hair, but I would still be me. My hair length is really an accident, not an essential feature of who I am. Okay, so this is all I want to say about substantial forms and accidental forms. And next time I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between natural philosophy and theology.